Tim's been good enough to be with us for a number of years here at the summit, and we want to get your thoughts, Tim, on sustainability. Particularly, what does it mean to you in terms of your job in the supply chain for IBM?
Okay. Well, to me, I think sustainability has to do with, regardless of the ebbs and flows of what may take place with the global economic conditions, whether you're going through, the recession that we've just gone through, that, all indications are we're starting to recover, or whether you're in growth initiatives, whether you're in emerging markets versus some of the major markets, whether you're involved with, whatever the natural disaster is of the day, whether it's volcanic disruptions, whether it's earthquakes and so forth. Sustainability around all that, to me, is if you have a sound strategy set from a company standpoint, a sound strategy set for your supply chain, that from that, as you hit those type of variables, what happens is you're doing a validation of the strategy. You don't create the strategy from what's taking place at the moment. What you do is you validate whether your strategy is sound for the moment, and then you make tweaks and adjustments as you need to. And I think that's the key today, particularly in the globalization of the business that we're in, and I think in any business, is again, sustainability is about the validation of the strategy that you've established. Right. Because by the time you get into the situation, whether it's in a recovery mode or you're in a growth mode or so forth, if you're setting your strategy while you're in the throes of that moment, then all you're going to do is continue to chase the environment. By the time you chase that environment, the environment's changed again. So I think that's the most important thing overall in sustainability.
Okay. I think a lot of folks think of sustainability, they may equate that with transportation, logistics, the specifics of how you move your supply chain around, how you move your goods around. How do you guys hedge against that kind of volatility? Specifically, prices, transportation, that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, what we've done is we, one of the things that we've learned in our supply chain is, we want to be able to control what we think provides a differentiation for the value for the company. So if you start with global logistics is not a core competency of IBM's. It's very difficult sometimes for companies to say stuff like that, particularly in end-to-end supply chain. It is not our core competency. Right. So if it's not your core competency, how do you establish the network and infrastructure working with those who it is a core competency? Starting out with that, we moved all of our global logistics from where we actually had some of our own logistics inside of IBM, partnering with 3PLs around the world. And just last year, we actually moved to a 4PL model. So we have a 4PL that actually is works and optimizes the entire 3PL network for us in terms of freight forwarding and integration and so forth across all that. And what we do is work with them on the strategic collaboration in terms of how you establish the global network. So a prime example for us we just went through with global logistics, if you look at the volcanic disruption that just took place in Iceland, is, under normal circumstances in the past, what you'd worry about is what was the disruption for Europe. But because of the linkage that we've done through a 4PL, really the biggest challenge was not the disruption that was taking place in Europe, but the effect of the disruption that was having in some of our other ports and network. And for us, it ended up being Hong Kong was the most significant one. And you would look at that and you would say, well, why would it be Hong Kong? That had no direct effect from the volcanic disruption. But when you start to look at in terms of displacements of planes and cargo capabilities and also crews and so forth, you start to realize that that's really the epicenter of where the issue is, the effect. Now, how do you go and optimize around that epicenter of what the problem is versus where you're seeing, the physical issues that are taking place as we all did from around the world. So it's things like that that start to get you more to a sustainability of not reacting to the situation that you see, but reacting to the effects that the situation's created.
Okay. I guess the last question would just be about one of those hot button issues when it comes to sustainability, which is cap and trade legislation, the prospects for that. Supply chain like IBM's, I imagine you have to be thinking about this kind of thing. Where does it fit in your strategic thinking? Is this too far down the road to think about?
No, actually it's not. Where it all fits into is the beauty that we have, particularly in IBM, is everything we do on the supply chain is under the umbrella of the Smarter Planet initiative inside of IBM. Yeah. So anything that has to do that with the Smarter Planet, whether it's infrastructure, legislation that's around that, whether it's healthcare, whether it's any of those type of things, changes in terms of the financial services dynamics and so forth, everything we do is aligned around, how how can IBM bring value to our clients and to our shareholders, but particularly our clients in terms of how they work through those type of things on smarter initiatives. So everything we do entails all of that. We are constantly involved in understanding, what regulatory changes are taking place. How do we embrace those? How do we help our clients embrace those type of changes? How do we help them to understand, whatever's in place today may change for tomorrow. So again, it still comes down to the sustainability, and a Smarter Planet initiative is to understand, that what exists today will change for tomorrow. So sustainability is all about, preparing yourself for the change that's inevitable that you can't see.
Right. And it's almost inevitable that as you prepare your clients for it, you're preparing yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.